couldn't remember from our last podcast if you had seen this before, but I saw you had rated the original Planet of the Apes, and I forgot if you had seen that.
Oh, I actually had seen it. I forgot to. It was one of the ones I missed when I was on my rating spree on Letterbox.
When you joined Letterbox and just rated 400 movies, I was like, holy fuck.
that was so funny because when we got Letterbox, we're like, hey, we should like just rate some movies. And Justin in one night rated every movie he'd ever seen.
I just went through the list like
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello and welcome to a grab bag episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Giannis. Joining me today, as always, are my co-hosts Alex Overdahl.
I can't think of anything clever.
And Justin Neitzel.
Cincinnati for Harambe. Let's go Bengals.
On today's episode, we're going to get kind of caught up on stuff that we've been watching because it's been a while since we've actually done what we watched. So we're going to kind of catch up and then talk about one of the biggest topics today in media, which is media acquisitions. So companies merging or buying each other. It's been a very big thing happening in everything, video games, movies. So we're going to kind of talk about some of the major ones and our thoughts on them.
We promise we won't just talk about Disney.
Yeah, so there is much more than
Well, if they would just quit acquisition, we wouldn't have to talk about them.
But it's everyone. It's not just Disney. It's everyone buying everyone.
Mm-hmm. I know, but we always talk about Disney, so it's always like, oh, you guys just hate.
We're having a fire sale.
Well, and once we get through what we watched, I'm going to say that the opinion of us isn't going to change. But to start with what we're keeping up with, I'll start with what we watched, but I'm gonna start with what I read. And I'm rereading a book that I love, and this is like we don't want to get political on this show. That's one of our major rules is we don't want to talk about politics. So I'm not going to. I'm gonna talk very objectively. But a book I've been rereading is one of my all-time favorites, and that's Mouse by Art Spiegelman, Maus. For no reason.
Definitely don't Google it and click the news tab.
Yep. Definitely don't look up what's been happening with Mouse. But that said, Mouse is a masterpiece. To anyone that is kind of wondering what's up because it's so big now, it is a must read for absolutely everyone. It is a phenomenal story, an amazing book. It's the story of Art's father Vladek and his mom and their experience in the Holocaust, surviving Auschwitz. It's this giant epic that basically tells a story from his mom and dad meet each other and falling in love through the entire Nazi occupation of Poland, from them invading to ghettos to them going to the camps. It is an amazing story. And yes, what everyone talks about with it is that Art Spiegelman drew the different races of people as different animals to add some stylistic depth to it. So Jews are mice, Nazis are cats, which I think some people don't look at it seriously because of that, when in reality it is such a good storytelling device and leads to some amazing art. It's a story that can and should only be told in the graphic novel medium. It's my all-time favorites. I can't speak highly enough of this book. You can find it literally everywhere. I implore anyone listening, read this book. It is an extremely important story that should not be forgotten and should not be ignored in any way or restricted in any way. Not that anyone's doing that at all.
So it's like a graphic novel?
Yep. It's a graphic novel. Like I kind of referred early. It's the Jews are drawn as mice, Nazis are drawn as cats.
See, I never heard it. I've never heard about it until it was in the news, and I was just like, I didn't know anything about it. And now you're telling me it's like a kind of a graphic. It's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about it from you, and then looking it up and reading about it. But that was a while ago.
It's so good. It's so fantastic. The scale is up there with something like Schindler's List. In my opinion, it should be taught in schools. Supposedly the story goes is that Spielberg ripped it off for American Tail. That's the theory, because it was released in two parts because Art Spiegelman saw that Spielberg was doing American Tail and broke the story up in half so he could release his half, because it took him 11 years to finish the whole thing.
Oh.
I mean, it was a labor of drawing.
Yeah, it's so detailed and so well done. But also I think where it's important is it's not just a story about the Holocaust. It's about what happens after. And it's really a story about a young man, because a large portion of the story is Art interviewing his dad. That plays a role in the story, is him interviewing his dad to make the book. which I think some people would be like, well, why is he doing that? It's so you can tell the generational story of an estranged father and son coming together over family history. It's a very serious story. It's not for everyone. It's hard to read at times, like any Holocaust tale, but it's fantastic. It's perfect and should be read.
Quite interested now. I mean, a good story is a good story, no matter the medium, whether it be a
you
graphic
can
novel or a book, a movie. I mean, great story is a great story, and it will last.
Especially now, every bookstore will have a copy of now, if not multiple copies.
Oh, definitely.
Like it will be everywhere. It's not gonna be hard to find, and even before the whole controversy, it wasn't hard to find either. It was hard to find the better volumes of it because I have like a special complete edition that I think is out of print, but it is a must read. But that said, on the lighter note, I also have recently watched, and I'll do too because it's my show. I can do that.
Our show. Na, 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 na.
Wait, it's my segment. And we got time, so I'm kind of I'll put them together because we're on the Disney train. Because they're both on the Disney train. But I saw both Eternals and Encanto.
Sounds rough.
In like a 48-hour stretch, and I gotta say, Disney guys, come on, man, what are you doing to me? So Eternals,
but we don't talk about Bruno.
Well, Disney at this point is like, we don't talk about Eternals.
What's this Eternals you're talking about?
It's watching Chloe Zhao's career die over 2.5 hours. I don't know why I should have said that, but
it's depressing but true.
Well, about Eternals,
as soon as her career went up, it went down.
Well, Eternals continues the Marvel trend of not being very good, but not being interesting enough to really talk about. It does some cool things stylistically. Lots of nat lighting for action scenes, lots of physical sets in practical locations. So it feels different from a lot of the movies that came before it. That said, it is stupidly long, ridiculously slow. There's like no action scenes, like worse than Black Panther's lack of action scenes. And the ones that are there are like weirdly small. The CGI looks good, but like the final battle is something out of like Power Rangers, where it's like 5 dudes on a beach.
I thought we were going to get a giant robot fighting some giant creature.
No, it's more like the rock quarry kind of shit from Power Rangers. Not the cool shit from Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. But we're depowered and we're doing ninjas moves.
Yeah, it's not good. There's some really weird stuff with the characters. I will say for Eternals, and this is a point that I haven't seen anyone make yet, that I'm going to make right now. You're here to see it for me first. Not only does it take a lot of what Earth X did without any of the cool commentary on the comic book industry, it also basically just rips off Watchmen. The main plot of the movie is essentially an MCU-ified version of Watchmen, where one of the Eternals, and this is an oversimplification of it, but I'll just kind of say as I can to make it make sense. One of the Eternals is dead, which unites them all to figure out what's going on, because the Eternals were this race of beings created by the Celestials to defend Earth, and they're super old and they can't die and they have superpowers and all the other boring nonsense.
They couldn't help out with Thanos or any other apocalyptic
because they didn't really feel like it.
And they fight these CGI monster things called the Deviants that aren't really given a lot of time, because like everything Disney now gotta have a twist villain. I won't say what the twist villain is, but there's a twist villain.
My money's on
that
Angelina Jolie.
negates the whole point of the movie.
I was gonna say this.
I said my money's on Angelina Jolie.
You're wrong.
Oh wow.
You are wrong. I won't say this, but I will say that you are wrong because I like saying that you're wrong.
What is the show anyway? What is the show for anyway?
Exactly. But it's basically watch they reunite after one of them is killed, and they go on this big adventure to reunite. And as they reunite, you get flashbacks as to why they broke up and how they spent their lives in between. It's not as good as Watchmen because it's Watchmen without the politics or the subtext or the satire. It's just this gross MCU-ification of it that is just uninteresting. I mean, that's the key word is uninteresting. And it's boring, lack of action. If you really are into MCU movies, go give it a watch. I'm not going to be able to stop you anyway, even if I wanted to. But most people, unless it becomes super important later on MCU, it's not worth watching. It's not worth 2.5 hours. That's for sure.
And they probably won't because they kind of want to forget it exists.
2.5 hours. Good Lord.
However, the more interesting one is Encanto, which I'll talk about briefly too. And that's big for me because I hate Encanto. I hated Encanto. Everyone talks about how great it is. I've seen a lot of people praising it. We don't talk about Bruno, all that crap. It is a terrible movie. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. It's this girl walking around her magical house. She runs into a random family member. Family member sings a song about their problems, and then they move on. Like nothing happened. There's no plot.
Where's the plot? Show me the plot.
And it's Disney now, right? Like Disney has this weird thing where their movies can't have villains now, like their animated ones. Or at least, and if there is a villain, it has to be like a twist villain. And this kind of has both in that it's like a twisty type thing, but there's also like no real like discernible antagonist. For results, this movie is just meanders for an hour and 40 minutes as they go song to song. But it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, so the songs are apparently automatically great. Even though I was unimpressed. I was unimpressed by every single thing about this movie. I was bored. I was completely like checked out for the vast majority of it. I don't see why everyone loves it so much. Someone please explain to me why this movie is as good as it is, or why it's good as they say it is, because I don't see it. And it's probably going to win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, which makes me even more upset. Am I the only one here who's actually seen it?
Yeah. I've heard a lot about it. I mean, just most of what I heard really is that it's not particularly good, but the songs are good. But at the same time, like the songs are becoming popular and catchy, but it's not like other ones like Frozen where like out of context, you can still like get the songs because the songs are tied to the context.
Or you walk by some random little girl and she's singing it out in public.
Right, like Let It Go, you can apply to like anywhere or whatever everybody did for years and years and years and years and years and still does.
More years.
But you know, with this one, like we don't talk about Bruno is a big song, but like it doesn't make any fucking sense if you haven't seen the movie.
Are you ready to see me kill myself in a podcast?
Yes.
The songs in their purpose in the story are the same as Cats.
Just to move the plot along, or what?
Well, no, it's
plot is there?
Characters.
Oh.
There's no difference between we don't talk about Bruno and McCavity.
Less scary CGI is about it.
Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong that we don't talk about Bruno is just a fancy rap version of McCavity.
I'll have to look it up and watch it.
But it's the same thing. It's just songs to introduce characters, and that's the entire plot of the movie. It's just learning about this family and their magical house, their magical powers. Except she doesn't get magical powers because there has to be conflict somewhere.
Well, that's
because
too
having
Disney.
no powers is what's real.
The real magical powers are the friends we made along the way.
What we sang about. The last couple the last couple of trailers for the Disney movies, I was like, I'm not interested.
They all look the same.
Yeah.
They're all the same movie. Raya and Kanto, like, what's the difference?
I'm usually like the animation guy, so I like going to see animation movies, but the ones that come out like recently, just like they haven't caught my attention. So it's like I'll see it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, we all know if there's a Disney movie that's capable of being nominated, it's gonna win.
Yeah, which
You should just name it the Disney category.
And it should be Mitchell's versus the Machines, which isn't even nominated, and that should be the winner.
Well, I think they haven't announced the nominations yet, but we all know what's gonna happen.
Well, Mitchell versus Machines isn't gonna be nominated. I know it's not going. I know it's not.
That'd be so bad. I see it happening already, but it'll be bad
because it wasn't nominated for the Golden Globes, and it just carries over.
Mm-hmm.
But the Oscars don't care about animation. They never have. If they did, Big Hero 6 wouldn't have won Best Animated Feature.
Wouldn't have. Lego Movie would have been nominated.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a shoo-in to win, and it wasn't even nominated.
And then literally every other movie nominated that year should have won over Big Hero 6. Every other movie. Anyway, I'm done. Someone else go.
Are you done with your rant? Here, I got something that'll cheer you up. I stumbled upon The Great Outdoors.
Heyo!
That you've been recommending.
That's actually not the one I was thinking.
Oh, wasn't? Well, I came across this on TV, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna finally watched this. It's actually a lot of fun. I didn't love it as much as you did, but it was.
I don't love it. My family does. I just like it because special in my family.
Well, I thought it was a fun little movie. It was kind of fun to see John Candy as not like the big oof or whatever. Just like he was actually one of the more intelligent characters in the movie and not the dumb one just making all these mistakes.
Fat guy's clumsy. I don't know, guys. Yeah, I like the movie.
And it definitely had that. It definitely has that upper Wisconsin, up north on the lake feel.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah, sure, you betcha.
Like. This is definitely something out of my childhood.
Yeah, like it's if you ever gone camping up north in the Midwest, you're not gonna understand it. But anyone that has understands it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel left out now. I need to see this movie.
Yes, you do. You happy one of us, Uga Chaka.
One of us.
One of us.
I mean, the biggest issue with it is that I think I mentioned this when I talked about it previously in the podcast. I mentioned it now that you've seen it, can comment on it. The biggest issue is there isn't really a plot.
Yeah, like there's not like a plot until like the last 20 minutes.
Yep, 20 minutes. Then the plot happens.
And then other than that, it's just like the family staying up and hanging out at the lake.
It's just John Candy feuding with pre-insane Dan Aykroyd. Because Dan Aykroyd I love him, but that Crystal Head vodka stuff is wild. I do want to try it though, just to see if it actually does have magical powers or whatever the hell he talks about in the ads for it.
Yeah, that's all I really had to say about it. It was a fun little movie. They had good chemistry. I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars.
I mean, that's a little lower than good, but you know what? Oh, that's like
you have it at 4. I didn't think it was there.
Anyway,
see, I thought I couldn't remember from our last podcast if you had seen this before, but I saw you had rated the original Planet of the Apes, and I forgot if you had seen that.
Oh, I actually had seen it. I forgot to. It was one of the ones I missed when I was on my rating spree on Letterbox.
When you joined Letterbox and just rated 400 movies, I was like, holy fuck.
that was so funny because when we got Letterbox, we're like, hey, we should like just rate some movies. And Justin in one night rated every movie he'd ever seen.
I just went through the list like Although I did find out that all the Apes movies and their sequels on HBO Max. So sooner or later I'll have to
just put the original on.
Oh, did they?
I think they left February. I can check though.
Because the original like just got on there again, I think.
The Apes streaming. Because if it is, I'll probably watch them at some point. I have such a big list of stuff to watch. It's actually kind of sad. Yeah, it's not HBO Max anymore.
Oh, shit. It Ben-Hur, though.
Yeah, it's now free on YouTube.
Oh, I have a new 4-hour movie to have you guys watch.
Boo.
Nice. So you can see that Charlton Heston is a good actor.
Dude, I'm not in the mood. We can talk about a Charlton Heston movie without you having to provoke me once. God damn it!
I don't know.
Anyway, asshole, what's your thing for this week?
See, I might also cheat and do 2 now. See, everyone expects everyone expects me to pick an old and sad movie.
Yes.
But what if I do a new and sad movie and an old and happy movie?
Oh, I thought you were going to say a happy and short movie.
That's also
an old, happy, and short movie.
Happy, short, animated.
Oh, no, that's not happening. You ask too much. But so the new movie, it's one of the biggest movies right now. We'll probably end up talking about this movie a lot. So to get the ball rolling before Oscar season, I watched Power of the Dog on Netflix, which is currently the frontrunner for Best Picture.
Don't give too much away because we're going to talk about this in depth pretty soon.
Yeah, I won't give too much away because it is one that's very like psychological and very motivated by like there's a lot to talk about that happens later in the movie that you don't want to spoil. But I think I definitely see why it's a frontrunner. It's a very well-made, very psychological film that sticks in your head. The performances are all great. Direction's fantastic. Sorry, I don't think No Way Home is going to beat it out, everyone.
What? How dare you? It has all 3 Spider-Men in it, Alex. All 3 Spider-Men.
And all the good villains
of all time.
Well, hey, a movie with Benedict Cumberbatch is gonna win Best Picture. It's just not gonna be the one you want. He is really good in this movie. A little bit off type from usual. And very unexpectedly, I was wondering why beforehand, but Cody Smith-McPhee is the frontrunner for Best Supporting Actor, and I see why now.
I still can't believe that, dude.
Very surprising performance. But by the time the movie ends, you'll be like, "Oh,
I don't know. In my mind, I don't know. Blow my mind more that Cody Smith-McPhee might win an Oscar this year, or that he is a different person from Asa Butterfield.
And the Oscar goes to Asa, but fuck.
Goes to that tall dude in the back.
I also think Kirsten Dunst should be getting a little more. But I mean, she might get a nomination, but she's kind of getting lost in the talk. She's excellent in this movie. It's a little misleading. I feel like branding it a Western is a little misleading because it's like late West, and also there's no bang bang pew pew action. It's not an action movie.
Is it illegal for her to act in the movie that doesn't have Jesse Plemons in it?
I don't think anymore. If I have a husband, it has to be my real husband, who is also very good. He's not in it nearly as much as she is in Cumberbatch and Smith-McPhee, but he's solid as always as Jesse Plemons.
Good old Meth Damon.
It's a very, it's one of those movies that's a slow burn with a really good payoff that sets up its characters well.
It's good to hear. I have yet to watch it because I'm very behind on my watch list, but I want to do it soon. Maybe tomorrow, actually.
Does Paul Dano play like a priest in this one?
Unfortunately, he's not in it, but I feel like he would fit in it.
I just seen him in it, and I'm like, the last kind of Western thing I saw, I remember him as "No, there will be blood."
How many dogs are in? That's the
0.
That's disappointing.
0 out of 10. Not going to see it.
There are no dogs, nor are they powerful. I need like the swole meme dog.
Come on, guys. Your movie's called
The Power of the
Doge.
Doge, and then it's just a fucking giant dog.
See, I was expecting Cumberbatch to turn into like a wolf man or a dog kind of thing. Power of the dog. Let's go.
Alex, were you about to say that that's Clifford?
Yeah.
I feel like if we ever make a bet where it's the three of us all agreeing about something and we're wrong, we should have to watch Clifford.
That's good. That's good. I like it.
Yeah, like if there's something where if we're all wrong, we have to watch Clifford.
I say we could do that with that Tom and Jerry movie too, but you already watched it.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
That's kind of shocking.
Like it's not good. Okay, Tom raps in it. It's not a good movie. but for how terrible it looked, it wasn't horrible. So fuck you, Justin, trying to come at me.
And my second movie, very briefly, is kind of one of the forgotten Best Picture winners. Also really forgotten Best Actor winner because nobody remembers that Mermaid Man has an Oscar. But the 1950s film Marty is absolutely fantastic. It's one of like the best kind of like, I wouldn't really call it a romantic comedy. It is like a romance drama kind of, but it has a lot of like snappy, fun dialogue. It's written by Patty Chayefsky, who wrote Network, and I believe he has the most Oscars for a writer.
I mean, we're probably going to do Network as an episode at some point. I know we've talked about it because it's on Max now.
Yeah.
But
and
he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah, he's one of the best writers of all time. He has I believe he has 3 writing Oscars, and this was his first win for writing. And I mean, it's a really concise movie. The dialogue's snappy. It's really heartwarming. It's a lot of fun. I absolutely highly recommend. Good date movie as well for those who are looking.
See, I need a good date movie because I have a reputation for me and my wife recently where every movie I pick has some sort of violent, like super disturbing violent part of it. That just kills the mood.
This will not.
Okay, because I've been batting 0.
We need to have Valentine's Day.
This
movie
one's a
ready.
homer. This one's a homer. This is a very heartwarming movie with a perfect ending. The ending is so good, and it's like the ending's unconventional. It's not like then you see the wedding and it ends. It's like it ends at the perfect spot, and it's also like an unconventional romance. It's 2 like unattractive, unliked people, or not unliked, but just like a bit lonely. They have friends, but it's just like they're older. Everybody's like, why aren't officially married yet, and they kind of meet each other, and even though no one approves, and it goes from there.
I mean, when I think of rom-com romance heartthrob, I think of Ernest Borgnine.
It is also strange seeing him, like, he played like infinite tough guy roles. If you've seen Wild Bunch, he's in Bad Day at Black Rock, he's in a bunch of those as the tough guy, and then seeing him as just like this random really nice heavyset guy is like, it's an interesting change of pace, and he's fantastic in it and won an Oscar for it. And it's on Amazon Prime if anyone wants to watch it.
Interesting. I also see it's on Pluto and Tubi, which are the ad-based services.
Right, yeah.
But who wants ads?
No.
I will say,
Brought to you
if I
by.
do one, I'd pick Tubi over Pluto.
Yeah.
Tubi's interface is better, and it tells you when ad breaks are coming up, unlike Pluto, which just tosses them in there, and it's jarring and confusing.
Pluto's ad breaks are shit. I know I did them. You can cut that. But I know they're shit because I did them, and I worked with people who did them.
So we should be blaming you then. It's your fault.
Oh, I did. I always looked for where they're supposed to be. Other people would just do math and write down the time and move on.
Oh, okay, sure. Everyone, if you hate Pluto's ad breaks, contact Alex Ovidal at...
Yep, go ahead.
I will say, very briefly, I did redeem the date night stuff by taking my wife to see the recent movie, Belle. Shockingly, it's an anime. I know, you both are so surprised.
Mm-hmm. Sacrifices must be made.
Yeah, that she wanted to go see Belle. But she's wanted to for a while. It's this anime version of Beauty and the Beast that takes place in the metaverse.
So kind of like Ready Player One?
Yes, but more dystopian. Maybe not more dystopian, but like a lot creepier, where like the system auto-generates your avatar based on your own personality and like your biometrics.
Okay.
And it's about this quiet, shy girl who in this fictional verse becomes this big singer, and she meets up with this beast that they call him, and she tries to like figure out what's wrong with this guy. Beautiful movie, absolutely gorgeous. Plot a little empty, and a lot of the tech stuff makes no goddamn sense. It's getting a bunch of praise right now. I'm sure if it was an Oscar season, it might have actually had a chance, but I don't think it's going to count for a lot of it. But I think it would actually stand a really big chance. It did really big at Cannes, and it's from
2021 on IMDb. So who knows? Maybe.
Well, quickly in Japan, it just came out in the States.
Yeah, I can't remember what the rules are these days. It used to be a lot more strict. I know they've loosened it a little bit as far as when it has to be in the U.S. Like, I'm not sure some of the big ones like Drive My Car and other ones like just came out in the U.S. too. But I don't really know what the rules are these days.
It doesn't matter when it comes out. It only matters when it screens in L.A. or New York.
Right.
That's because that's all that really matters for Oscars, which is stupid, but that's all that really counts for it. And I liked it. I don't think it should win Best Animated Feature. I didn't think it was that good. You can tell that I'm gonna butcher this name. Mamoru Hosoda had a story he wanted to tell, but couldn't actually figure out how to have it make sense, and so he just said screw it and left a lot of inconsistencies in there because of it.
This animation looks really weird. Like
it
the
is.
Characters are all kind of like regular anime characters that you normally see, but the rest of the world seems to be like animated very well and crisp.
Yeah, well, it's
just from these pictures I'm seeing.
It's this bizarre style where the fictional world is all CGI, which CGI anime is very hit or miss visually, and the real world is all traditional 2D anime. And Justin, you hit the nail on the head. It's like ultra realistic backgrounds with sometimes really weirdly drawn people. It works in motion.
Yeah, I'm only looking at stills, so
I will say I thought it was too long.
Long is it?
And there's it's not even that long, but it feels way too long and pretty unfocused.
2 hours. That's pretty long for an anime.
Even with some weird shit, like she multiple times sings on top of a giant whale, which is kind of weird. But my wife loved it. If you like anime, you probably love it too. I'm not a big anime fan, but if your significant other likes anime, it is an amazing date night movie. I would say that straight up.
What's this called?
Belle.
No.
Belle.
You know what else is a good anime date night movie? Perfect Blue.
No, it's not. It is very much not. I haven't seen it. All I'll say is they're probably listening to this right now. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for buying my wife that for Christmas, and now making me have to watch that movie that I've been avoiding because it disturbs.
Do you know? I was like, do you know some of the stuff that happens in it? Because I did not.
I watched a documentary on it where it was the movie compared to the real life situation with Bjork Stalker.
Yeah, so I went in not knowing anything. So,
I would doubt you would know anything about any kind of anime.
Which Sam has done to me a few times, not telling me how things that happen to see how I react.
No, honestly, with Perfect Blue, you almost have to, because if she did, you would go, hell no, nope,
Yep. Yep.
Singing one.
That's Helena's thing now, is she can't get me to watch it because I'm like, nope, don't want it. And maybe we can do an episode on it and we can bring them both on and they can try and defend the movie.
It's all right. I mean, it's like solid. It's just a little much.
I like Satoshi Kon. Tokyo Godfathers is wild, like Bong Joon-ho levels of wild. But I'm not an anime guy, man. Like, I try for my wife. I try.
I watch one now and then, I guess.
Which is how I am too.
For me, it's like it's hit or miss. That's what anime is. You either hit it or you're like, what the hell am I watching?
Well, I took her to see Belle, and on the way home, she immediately was like telling me all these other films by the dude we have to watch. I'm like, slow down,
hold up, time out.
Give me a break. I'm not gonna watch this whole dude's filmography in a row. Like we can space this out.
Do one every 2 months.
More like 2 years. Anyway, let's talk about the big news story of the day, or at least of the past couple months or years, you can say, and that is media company acquisition. So recently, the game developer and publisher Activision Blizzard was purchased by Microsoft for how much was it?
$75 billion. I'm
gonna say quite a bit.
For a lot of money. Now, if you know anything about video games, it shouldn't come as a surprise to you. Activision has been in a world of hurt recently with some very disturbing, heinous controversies, some union issues. They are a hot mess right now.
Right. And it's one of those. I feel like it's one of those things that like we all kind of knew the company can't survive. It's very bad, very serious. You know, people go down and then they rebrand and they branch out and they sell off multiple pieces. So I don't think any of us were expecting this.
No.
Because nothing of this skill has ever been done in games before.
Yeah, well, I thought what was going to happen was that Activision and Blizzard were going to separate. Blizzard was going to be sold to Tencent or another Chinese company, and Activision was either going to stay independent, just divested of Blizzard, or be sold to someone else. I never expected the entire company to be sold as it stands, because at first everyone thought that Blizzard was just where all the issues were, and Blizzard's been terrible for a while with crap like don't you people have bones. But then Activision had some issues. I'm pretty sure Raven Software still is striking right now. It's really bad. But now we're faced with the reality that now Microsoft owns the rights to Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, all these big franchises, even Candy Crush somehow.
Wow. Candy Crush, Xbox exclusive.
And right after, or not right after, a couple weeks after, now Sony has purchased Bungie, the original developers of Halo and developers of the Destiny series, for way more money than they're probably worth.
So we getting Halo on the PlayStation now?
Well, no.
Oh, they don't make that anymore.
And we could say that Destiny, we could say that Destiny is going to be PlayStation exclusive, but nobody plays Destiny anymore.
Oh, you think anyone played Destiny when it first came out?
Well,
it's that weird thing where enough people play it and are obsessed with it that they could just keep pumping these out because they will just pour money into this game.
Well, Bungie got sold for $3.6 billion, which I have no idea how they're worth that much. But
that's all that Destiny money. I don't know how, but that game just prints money.
Yeah, which now I think begs a very real important question that I want to pose to you guys. What's next? What games are going to be console exclusives? What other companies are at risk? I mean, Microsoft for sure is hedging their bets. Now they have Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. Like, holy crap! which I'm sure is to just pump up Game Pass, because Microsoft seems to see Game Pass as the future.
Yeah, it's worked very well for them. It's been a good value, and they've wanted to add more developers. They've had a lot of indie developers in house that haven't quite taken off, and then purchase opportunities came, and then they just went wild.
Well, and they've been talking about buying more. I've seen rumblings that Microsoft tried to buy Sega, WB Games. Like,
remember when they were the biggest? Remember when buying WB Games was considered like the big deal? Now it's like,
well, they only bought Activision Blizzard because the controversy weakened them to the point where they had to sell.
Right, which is insane to think $75 billion is like their weak point, but it is.
Yep, it's the shareholders getting out. But
they're also like, I have no doubt they're going to do something with StarCraft.
Oh, for sure.
Because they just made Age of Empires. They've done Halo, where they've done like more strategy games, so they're definitely going to do something with StarCraft.
I guess we'll see lots of Activision franchises come back. And Activision, I think, has been a little weak since they've stopped doing a lot of the licensed games, which was like their bread and butter back in the day.
Yeah, the Tony Hawk games and a bunch of like some movie games and those sorts of things.
Well, because they had the Marvel license, the Transformers license,
Spyro, Crash Bandicoot.
Yep. Which we may see the return of Skylanders, and those other big series. Maybe even Guitar Hero. We'll see what Microsoft does. I mean, I see this as an IP grab more than anything. But at the same time, what was the biggest complaint that everyone had about the Xbox One? Crappy first-party games. There was a lack of those first-party games for the Xbox One. Sony destroyed them on that.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to get console exclusives? Buy every big franchise and make it a console exclusive.
That works.
And that's something that, Alex, that you and I have been saying for a while now. And this is the harsh reality, all you Bethesda fans. It's going to be Xbox exclusive from now on.
I can't believe there are even articles talking about it. Why the fuck do you think they spent so much money? Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously current deals will be honored, but like the speculation, it's really like, it's like media companies weirdly hoping that it's not true. Like, like news outlets, which is weird because it's like, why? It's going to happen.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, like you said, Microsoft's been honoring past deals. Psychonauts 2 is multi-platform, even though they barely marketed the fact that it was on PS4. Because I didn't know it was on PS4 until like a month ago. And other stuff with Bethesda has been honored. And my guess is Activision will be honored too. If not, maybe Call of Duty, they might have to keep on PlayStation for a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deals are there, but I mean, considering how long down the pipeline they start those games, it's probably.
I was going to say, whatever games. The last game is that they're developing right now will be the last one.
Right, I don't know. Like 4 games ahead.
I don't know. They might have signed a deal for Call of Duty for like 10 years.
Right.
That'll be 10 years down the road, probably.
Like, games like Starfield, Elder Scrolls, obviously, eventually Call of Duty. I mean, they'll still be on PC because that's the strategy that Microsoft has been consistent on. That Sony is also kind of starting to borrow a little bit, just kind of a few years after the games come out. But like, they'll be on PC, but console-wise, they will definitely only be on Xbox. That's why they spent that money.
Are you guys ready for the harshest reality of all with this? That nobody wants to admit. Indiana Jones is going to be a Microsoft console exclusive.
Absolutely.
Wasn't it already a Microsoft exclusive?
It has not been confirmed.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like we have. I mean, obviously Sony owns the rights to this character anyway, but like Spider-Man becoming single platform, right? You're having kind of big name licensed characters become exclusives.
I didn't really think so until they announced that the Quarter remake is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. Once I saw that a Star Wars game was going to be was going to be a console exclusive, then that's okay. So Lucasfilm is fair game for console exclusivity.
Oh, that's surprising.
Which sucks because I don't know if I'll get to play Indiana Jones for a while now.
Yeah, well, when that released, or that trailer released, I remember I was like, it had to be, because it was like right off the heels of Sony like saying like, oh, here's all our exclusives. So it's like, oh, Microsoft is going to do it eventually.
Well, Microsoft needs exclusives. They desperately need them.
Yeah, that's been the one missing piece. because I mean, Game Pass has drawn a lot of people now. I mean, but you've got to get exclusives. I mean, they brought Halo back. That's good. But like Gears of War is a dead IP. I mean, I still love those games. I haven't played the last like 3.
Well, I think Microsoft is preparing themselves for when EA eventually backs out of Game Pass.
I will. That might be a while because EA's own thing failed.
Well, they might try. They might try it again. I think it'll be a while. I'm not saying it'll be like next month, but within 5 years, right? Because games take forever to make.
Yeah, I could see them starting to feel confident enough that they could try it again, and it probably won't work again.
I'm gonna say people just need to take their stuff away from EA.
But it is kind of. I do agree. It feels like it could last a while, but it feels like the Netflix start of the Netflix era, right? Everything was on Netflix. Yeah. Everybody agreed to those deals. Then they started thinking, what if we did this ourselves? And then they pull away content, and you need your own content to survive after that. So that's kind of what's happening, because right now Game Pass just has everything.
Yeah, now we have Apple Plus, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, every other kind of plus.
Well, and that's a big thing that we're seeing now too with other stuff is for the streaming stuff to work. Now companies are now buying other companies. Like the media acquisition thing goes beyond just video games, and we're seeing it everywhere. Mm-hmm. Warner Discovery, Disney, Fox. I've probably missed a bunch.
Amazon and Bond. Forget what company
MGM.
That is. Yeah, MGM.
Amazon, MGM.
So
we're seeing
Bond
plus
like one property.
I think we looked up, but like Bond was their only really big thing that they had.
But Bond's big enough, and I think Amazon knew that they needed a content production wing for when Lord of the Rings of Power fails, because it's going to.
Oh, if it fails, that's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
they put so much into that show.
Well, does Amazon have any original movies?
They've been on the Netflix strategy of buying other studios' garbage for a while.
Because all I know is like they have like Amazon TV shows. Like I know all about those. It's like I'm just thinking like I've never heard about like Amazon movie or whatever.
They're a big one. This year's is the Ricardos one, which is the I Love Lucy Aaron Sorkin one.
But I mean, you know what's kind of interesting is it's like the reverse. Like Netflix started. I mean, they still do, but they started really just buying studios' garbage, and then they ended up kind of building their own original production. Amazon had a few like successful original movies a few years ago, and now they exclusively buy stuff that other people won't put out.
Instead of making our own trash, what if we just buy your trash?
Right, they had some movies like The Big Sick that were like up for awards, and now like they buy trash and Borat 2, which is treasure.
Well, I think what's important to understand is media conglomerates are not new. They've been around forever. They're just getting bigger and bigger, and stuff's becoming more and more isolated. And the middlemen are the ones that are going to die out. Like Netflix is a big one that like they've wanted to keep their independence for so long. I don't think Netflix will be able to stay independent forever. Only because like the companies that made their stuff are now making their own distribution services.
I think it's hard. I think Netflix could get to if they do, it would take a long time. I think they could get to the point where they try and branch out by buying other stuff. But they would never get as big as one of the like big five, it's not even 5 anymore, but like the big companies, but they could buy other ones. Like, I don't think somewhere like A24 would sell, but right, you could see Netflix buying places like that.
A24 said they'd sell for like $48 billion or something like that, as like a joke.
Do I think they will eventually? Probably. I mean, it's unfortunately becoming the space until something changes.
Well, Netflix will need to buy someone to stay big because, and they're going to have to buy someone small because every other company is becoming too big around them. Like Disney buying Fox, Warner and Discovery merging, Amazon getting MGM, which Netflix probably could have got.
Right. Those are the kind of ones they need to be looking to buy. They need to be looking to buy not just other studios, but people that are involved in other things, right? Like TV and distribution, because everybody's got all the categories themselves now. So to stay a big fish, they need to eat those. Otherwise, someone will eat them.
Well,
eventually.
The big one that doesn't get a lot of talk about, in my opinion, that I think is most important is when Warner Brothers deals are up with other services and they can put all their stuff exclusively on HBO Max in their own production. And it's like 95% of their stuff can just go in-house versus other distribution means, you're going to see the TV landscape change immensely because Warner makes so much TV.
Yeah.
And they still do. And like people really don't realize the extent of it. I mean, you would think everything now is on HBO Max, but I mean, they make Ted Lasso. they make so much TV, and they used to not be interested in the distribution game. They used to solely be interested in production. And that's why Max is such a big deal, because it's like that's going to change everything, not just like legacy titles that are going to revert back completely to them, but what's going to happen to shows that are right now on other streaming services eventually. Do those stay there forever, or do they pull them back themselves?
I feel like Max was an AT&T decision back when AT&T owned Warner.
Definitely.
Because that seemed like AT&T, and AT&T did their best with Warner, but they are selling Warner to Discovery for a reason, right? Warner isn't buying Discovery. Discovery is buying Warner.
I think now, I have to see, like, I'm a bit confused on the details, but I saw that Warner Media is getting spun off.
What?
Yeah.
What? How the hell? What's Warner? So what's Warner Media specifically that they're being spun off? Is that like the film production wing?
This is literally like yesterday.
So what's Warner Media in relation to?
Structured as a spin-off ahead of its combo with Discovery. Oh, Warner Bros. Discovery. It's like a new company.
Yeah. What the heck? That's big. That's actually really big. Yeah, A&T spin off Warner Media. What the hell? Spin off Warner Media. That's big. Well, we'll see what happens there.
But I think it is still being they're being merged together after Warner Media is being spun off as its own company.
Yeah, that seems to be what's being said, that AT&T is going to remove Warner Media, which seems like a shady tactic to try and avoid something, but
It definitely is.
but that's just me.
Yeah, the question is now, besides already like what's going to happen when all of that TV reverts back to Warner, is what is Warner going to do now that it's free from AT&T again?
Yeah, because AT&T did not know how to run Warner.
There's actually a great quote in one of the articles about by a research analyst about it, is that AT&T the last few years has done, here it is, AT&T did an incredible job of buying assets at absolute peak valuation and destroying valuation in the next few years.
That's so true. AT&T's decision making with Warner, which has one of the biggest legacy libraries of music, movies, television ever, some of the greatest IPs ever, and doing basically nothing with it.
Yeah, like Max is good, but it was poorly marketed and not utilized properly, and at first had problems. Everything else they did with Warner was like the stuff they were saying publicly was like scaring people. Like, how are you going to change Warner? And like it just didn't work, and then they sell it or spin it off at like half the cost they bought it at.
Yeah.
Because this was AT&T had to sell how much stuff at the beginning of the 2000s from poor management. They built themselves back up so low, and then they bought a bunch of stuff again, and then they failed again and have to sell it off again.
Because they bought Warner for some reason, like Comcast bought NBC Universal, and it was for IP management in the entertainment space. And NBC Universal is doing just fine under Comcast. If anything, they're thriving under Comcast.
Yeah, it's becoming like an empire.
Whereas AT&T didn't know what to do with Warner. And HBO Max, I think part of the issue with HBO Max was calling it HBO Max. No one knew what that meant.
Yeah, it's like, is this HBO? Now they tried, because HBO Go was so popular, they tried to capitalize on that, but really it made people feel like it was just more HBO. I mean, why not call it Warner Max?
Yeah. It should have been called Warner Max.
Because that sounds big. Everybody's like, oh shit, it's Warner. That's going to have this, this, and this. When you go HBO Max, it's like, okay, what does it have?
You have Warner Max, you slap Bugs Bunny's face on the logo, and that thing sells itself.
He died for your sins.
That's true, right?
It's him
He died
ascending.
for our sins. He died so that way the Warner serververse HMax ever could live.
This is canon.
Well, what was all their DC stuff was on or whatever? That DC server? I don't remember what it was called.
Well, DC, we actually talked, we discussed this in LA, because when we went to LA, we met with people who worked for a particular company, and around this time was when they announced the Boomerang streaming service and DC service. I think Boomerang started and DC was next. And I asked certain people, is this a litmus test for a giant Warner service? And the answer was yes. The answer was they're going to do a small, cheap one with classic animation, which was Boomerang. Then they were going to go do DC, which was slightly larger, and then do a giant Warner one for all of it, and then eventually spin off them all into the one, which is still messed up because Boomerang is tied up with Verve. I'm not even sure if Verve's still a thing, but
I can't remember.
But Boomerang is thriving. Boomerang is thriving on its own as a service. I know a few people that have it. It is a great alternative to Disney Plus. For people that don't want, because it's cheaper. It's like $20 for a whole year or something like that.
That's nice.
Although at this point you can see a lot of Boomerang on HBO Max already. Not all of it, but some of it. Versus the DC service, which was kind of a failure. Like no one really had it, and those that didn't really like it. The originals. They keep putting all their money into Titans, yet people like Swamp Thing. It's canceled before it's even finished.
Yeah, it has no chance. Other shows that were on other channels that got canceled were not brought back to consolidate everything.
The Titans thing is weird. It's like no one I know talks to that's seen it, likes it, but yet it's still going on.
It's popular. It is popular with some people.
Hot Topic people.
I've never watched a single episode of it, and I probably never will. I might watch Doom Patrol because people seem to really like Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna watch Titans. When I saw that first trailer for Titans and it opens with Dick Grayson going "fuck Batman," I knew right away I'm not gonna like this. Like they did the wrong thing.
This is the moment I was like, "Yep, nope, not watching that."
I also saw that HBO Max recently added Pennyworth.
Oh.
Everyone forgets that that's a thing.
I forgot that existed.
But everyone also forgets that Warner also under AT&T bought Rooster Teeth and all I think of Maker, and they bought Crunchyroll for anime, and now Crunchyroll got sold off to Funimation, so they have an anime dynasty over there. Rooster Teeth, I don't know if they're going to survive this merger, honestly. Some of Warner might not survive this merger.
Yeah, Rooster Teeth is the weird one that you forget they own. I mean, and it feels like a weird thing for them to have.
Well, a lot of things that don't survive mergers.
When you look real deep at the fine print in Warner, you can see a lot of the controversies that they've had recently. Like their CEO stepped down like a year ago for accusations of sexual misconduct. I mean, Rooster Teeth had a bunch too for poor working conditions. I mean, Rooster Teeth has a controversy once a year.
Well, at this point, what company doesn't have issues?
Yeah, they just people like to think things have changed, but
it's more. I'm surprised that AT&T hasn't done more swift action a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff
things change, the more things stay the same.
And I just want to also point out that we're being critical of a company that it's not Disney right now.
Yeah, we barely brought them up, so
yeah.
We've already gone into their acquisition.
Well, we think of acquisitions. Disney's the one that comes to mind first, though, right?
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah, they've been the biggest ones.
Marvel,
Lucas,
Disney,
Fox.
Yeah, it's because they
Lucasfilm.
literally bought one of the big legacy companies. They purchased one of the same size as them.
Yeah, which was insane.
That was scary. It is scary. Still scary.
Yeah.
Well, because Disney's doing and not to just crap on it, because I think in some ways Disney is doing some okay things with Fox, but at the same time, basically completely gutting their entire production slate, which was probably garbage. I mean, you look at Fox's track record before and after Disney, most of that shit was a bunch of failures.
Mm.
The main thing
So
that sucked was
success.
them gutting a lot of their other divisions and people losing their jobs.
But Disney basically lost out on profit. Like Disney had a banner year 2019 and still failed to hit projections because of how bad the Fox movies did. They lost value. They had in 2019 they had how many films make over $1 billion, but because Ad Astra and Dark Phoenix did so poorly, it tanked their whole year. On top of the merger, yes, and people lost their jobs, and it's terrible. I don't agree with how Disney handled Blue Sky. That wasn't great, but also at the same time, it was gonna happen. That's what we all knew was gonna happen. Is they were gonna find redundancies. Disney's not gonna want to have 5 different animation studios.
Mm-hmm. I mean, had James Cameron not taken forever with Avatars through whatever number, they could have made some more money. Maybe
That movie's gonna make I'm fully convinced now that movie's gonna make a shit ton of money.
Avatar's another one of those movies that I don't understand how much crap it gets. But like you said, Alex, last week, that War of the Planet of the Apes is like the most crap you've seen a good movie get. I'd argue Avatar.
Yeah, to me, I didn't mention that because like it's so strange that it gets crap, and also it was so successful that I don't really think about how it does, but it really does now, and it's very confusing.
I think everyone liked it, but then it got nominated for Best Picture, and everyone's like, okay, it's not that good. Calm down.
And part of it is it's aged pretty poorly.
I still
Like,
enjoy
not
it
as
when
bad
I
as-
see it.
Yeah, it still looks better than some of the shit we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's still a good movie. Like, it doesn't have the most amazing plot, but it's like solid and it works, and the world is really cool, and that's more than you can say about just about every blockbuster right now. I mean,
I'm in the process today of watching Peter Jackson's King Kong. I wasn't able to finish it before the podcast started, but
Yeah, it's like
It's
3
not-
hours.
Yeah,
that
'cause
might
it's
get
a
the most
long-ass
crap for
movie.
a really good movie.
That movie would be so much better if it was shorter.
I don't know if I agree with you on that. I like the
Ooh.
build-up.
Someone agreeing with me on long movie.
Well, some of that first hour could maybe be short.
I would agree.
Do we have to
I
have
think
every
it has-
exposition? No.
Right. I think some of that is
Go
unnecessary. I do like the epic
Island.
pace, like classic epic pacing to it, but it definitely takes a little too long at a certain point in the kind of the first act.
Yeah. The practical sets look cool. Some of the CGI doesn't look good, but
All those
but
like
Kong
weird
looks good.
bug creatures.
I love the set pieces. That's something that action movies have lost now, is the cool set piece.
Yeah.
And I think it's why so many feel flat. Like, think about, to pick on this movie again, but think the finale of Far From Home, right? Think that shitty Statue of Liberty that looks
No
like
Way
it's
Home.
2 feet tall. Oh, what did I say?
Far from home.
Which
Well,
has the
Same fucking
bridge.
movie.
Same thing.
Yeah. So No Way Home, just like how flat that feels, and it's like, well, if you're not doing anything good with the choreography, you can't just slap an interesting sounding location on. Like, you've got to utilize the location and make an actual set piece out of it. But
Have
so,
stuff
think about the
collapse.
original X-Men, the finale at the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, you have to use that set piece to your advantage. You have to, like King Kong has this scene where they're on like a giant tree branch, it's like or giant tree that's like a bridge between two cliff faces, and they're fighting with Kong, and Kong keeps rotating the bridge that they're on. That's how you use the set and action sequence.
See,
You
the
constantly
problem
change it.
is like people just lost their creativity when it comes to fights. Like some of these directors just don't know how to shoot action.
Well, part also is Peter Jackson got way too crazy with action set pieces with the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, the river boat ride in barrels down the thing a little too much.
Well, I'm thinking, when I think of bad Jackson set pieces, that one comes to mind. But also in the first Hobbit, when they're on the bridge in the Goblin Town or whatever, and the bridge just keeps falling, and they're all just on it, and it looks ridiculous.
Another one I think of is, I think it's in the third one where Legolas is jumping across like blocks that are falling. Just like, you add the Mario sound. Doing.
Yeah, because that's just such a small set. Because they're on like some like mountaintop versus Return of the King, which has just a giant battlefield. We're not talking about acquisitions. We're not talking about action movies and Peter Jackson.
Well, it started as talk about
Well,
Avatar.
Look how they massacred my boy.
well, with acquisitions, I think part of that's why we've seen things kind of stagnate is a company buys a product and you start to see them all start to kind of become the same because the company wants consistency.
Well, if you want the biggest example of that is look at Disney. Rag on Disney again in Star Wars. Look at Rise of Skywalker. It's like basically the same ending as Endgame.
Yeah. Disneyfication's a real thing. I mean, you look at Disney seems to want consistency in everything, which is why every Marvel movie feels the same, why every Disney film feels the same, why every Star Wars thing feels the same.
It's a very corporate way of looking at creative product is, well, this works, let's do it again.
Well, the problem is it worked for Disney for how many decades? Mm-hmm. Right. At first, that was quality control, but then the quality control started to affect the actual quality of the product and creativity. I mean, just even now, watch old episodes of Clone Wars and compare it to the stuff compare it to Rebels or Resistance. There's such a different feel to it. Mm. I mean, early Clone Wars is also kind of terrible, but that's not the point.
It's better.
There's just Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, that's like the thing is like you watch Clone Wars versus like the Rebels, and it's just like you see the vast difference, and it's like Clone Wars was like anything can happen, characters die on a whim. Disney Rebels, it's like Disney, it's like half-hour special of caring about some weird creature that they have to transport. It's like, what the fuck are we doing, guys?
Mutton Chop Man
versus the Button Chop Man versus the opening movie of Clone Wars, which isn't very good. However, it's basically just an hour and a half of just battle scenes, which isn't terrible, but there's like no real plot, and the plot that's there is kind of lame. But like you get that really cool fight scene where they're climbing up that cliff face. Yeah. Like it's not a good movie, but it's a cool action scene. It's him actually trying, and Dave Filoni got really obsessed with Ahsoka, and now she's in everything.
To be fair, I mean, he made her into a very good character along the line, but now it's just like, okay, calm down. Don't have to put her in everything you do.
I'm pretty sure her story ended a while ago.
It did.
And not to say that acquisitions are bad. I think in a lot of ways Disney might have actually saved Marvel.
They're not bad. It's just when you get a company have so many, and then they just, like you said, we turn out the same thing. It looks the same as everything else. It's like, where's the diversity? Where's the creativity? And if you buy up your competitors, it makes you not have to be like, oh, we have to top them now again if they top us. It ruins the competitive dynamic.
That's the thing about the Disney Fox deal that it's so like absurd is that they just bought a competitor. Like they just took out one of the big four studios.
Now we don't have to put as much work into these movies because what else are they going to go see?
Yeah, now we don't have to worry about X-Men.
People are wondering why there's not many movies coming out. It's because one of the major distributors and production companies disappeared overnight. That's why.
But at least I get to see X-Men in the MCU now.
and Fant Four Stick.
Fant Four Stick, come back. Now I'm gonna paint a different picture for you guys because this got revealed a while ago. We haven't talked about it yet. That before Disney bought Fox, do you know what they were gonna try and purchase and merge with? Warner Brothers. Disney planned to buy Warner, but what happened was this is according to an article by Screen Rant, which is quoting a report from New York Times. Bob Iger wanted to purchase Warner, but Warner was already in talks of being purchased by AT&T.
That's right. I remember that now.
I wonder if, like, would they have really done that?
Warner wanted to be sold. That's why Warner was going to AT&T. Is Warner wanted to merge.
I can tell you one thing. If that happened, DC movies would get a better rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
But can you imagine if DC and Marvel were owned under the same corporate umbrella?
Oh my god, the fucking MCU fanboys would just.
When are we gonna get the team up between Batman and Iron Man?
Oh no, that would be so bad.
DC Marvel in the same universe. Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse in the same universe. Like canonically.
Never see Bugs Bunny again.
Mickey
Mouse. This time he would die and he wouldn't come back.
See, I will say though, imagine how cool theme parks would be though.
Oh, everything would be there.
like as much as it kind of like Six Flags has the Warner Brothers stuff now. And dude, it sucks. Okay. Six Flags is just taking like some random roller coaster. They color it green, call it Green Lantern the Ride. And call it a day.
And then they buy just some fake costume for some actor to wear and walk around. Be Green Lantern.
Yeah. And maybe like the queue line has like these cutouts of the characters, but there's no theming, right? But imagine like Disney money being put into like a DC ride. Not Harry Potter because the Universal has those rights forever. But like a Disney funded DC ride or a Disney funded Looney Tunes area. Like that could be amazing. Will never happen. At least maybe not that.
when Disney buys Warner Discovery.
I don't know. 5 years.
No, they would. They would definitely have to shut that down.
Yeah, the FTC would go. No, that's a monopoly. That's an absolute monopoly.
Yeah, who would stop them then? Vin Diesel.
And my
with the power of family.
Well, for how much crap? Like I said earlier, for how much crap Comcast gets as a company, they're running NBC Universal rights. right. I mean, Peacock
it's been
fun, but the movies are making money. Like they had that banner year in 2015. They're holding their own. The theme park game is on point. I mean, getting the Nintendo rights for both movies and theme parks is huge.
Disney screwing up Star Wars.
Well, and would you guys see what Universal's response to Disney Star Wars Land was? So there's a controversy now with Star Wars Land where some leaked photos of the specialty transport vehicles came out. Because, right, that's one of the big things that they talked about for the new Star Wars hotel, Galactic Star Cruiser, was that they're going to have like these shuttles that were themed, and they're going to take you from the cruise ship to Batu for your excursion. And these specialty, like, I think they're saying that they're going to be like special buses. No, they're outfitted box trucks. It's box trucks with a Star Wars door attached to the side. And Universal responded with a tweet, like their official theme park page, responded with a tweet of like, we have our new vehicle experience, a special shuttle service, and it's a box truck with the Universal logo on the side.
Damn.
Which it is amazing that we live in a world where big corporations get into meme wars with each other.
It is wild.
Like Wendy's Twitter back in the day, man.
Oh,
that was art.
Like that was the real start of it. Whoever that guy was,
Wendy's
ran
Twitter burned Carl's Jr. so bad that they blocked him. God, like it is amazing that we're in. It's kind of scary that we're in this corporate monopoly world where five companies are controlling everything. But they have a sense of humor about it. Or they also threw shade at the whole. If you guys heard about the Figment popcorn bucket controversy,
No, I didn't.
so.
What?
One of Disney's what?
No, I've not heard anything about this.
So Disney has a character at Epcot, famous character called Figment. It's that pinkish purplish dragon that you might see at Figment. I see Epcot. He has his own ride. He's very big in Disney parks only, but he's huge there. I loved him as a kid when I went to Disney parks.
I've seen
this. But recently they had a thing for their food and art festival that Epcot has, or food and wine. It was they had this festival every winter, and it was this year's. And for it, they had especially popcorn bucket. And popcorn buckets are huge at Disney for some reason. Like this novelty character themed popcorn bucket. There's some really good looking elaborate popcorn bucket. I'm not quite sure why, because it's just popcorn. But people were waiting 6 hours in line, if not longer. I think some reports say it was up to like 18 hours for these Figment popcorn bucket. And people were buying like 50 of the damn things to sell online on eBay. And again, the official Universal Orlando Resort Twitter page tweeted out, "Y'all must really like popcorn." Like, what are we doing? But good to see that someone running the social media stuff has a special sense of humor. Or like their other Universals talked about when it was revealed that it cost $6,000 to go on the Galactic Star Cruiser. Universal's response was, think of how many churros you could buy with that kind of money. Like, it's so weird, but honestly, I kind of love it.
Yes.
But anyway,
social media companies really embrace the meme culture, and it's grand sometimes.
Yeah, because some have great social media people that really understand it and are funny as hell. Some don't.
Some are like, oh, that's a popular meme, let's tweet it, and then it doesn't work.
He tweeted that out of context.
Well, I won't get too much into it now, but I will say, if you want to see one of the funniest ones, in my opinion, Google search the DiGiorno pizza hashtag why I stayed controversy.
Oh, I remember this.
I won't go into details, but just look it up. It is so funny. It is so damn funny.
So wrong.
Oh, I remember this now. Oh, wow.
Yeah, such a failure. The hashtag's not funny. I should specify. The hashtag's not fun. Hashtag's serious.
Yes.
What DiGiorno did. Really funny.
In a very dark way.
Yeah. Social media blunders, that's one of the best ones, probably, of just someone not reading what that hashtag meant. Let's see if I can find some other funny ones quick, just so we can end the show on a light note. There was the Chase Bank. I remember this one, the Chase Bank one, where they talked about that people have low bank accounts because they get coffee from Starbucks and go out to eat and get a cab. Which says what's my balance so low? Bank account. Make coffee at home. Bank account. Eat the food that's already in the fridge. Bank account. You don't need a cab. It's only 3 blocks. I guess we'll never know. Bank account. Seriously? Hashtag Monday motivation. Or the UPS store. If your child addresses a letter to the North Pole, you can leave it with us. We do shredding.
That's good. Little kid learns how to read.
See, the best is when someone who works for a social media company or social media for a company forgets to log into their personal account.
That's a good one.
Those are the good ones. We'll end the show with this tweet here. So this is from the Chrysler Autos account. I find it ironic that Detroit is known as the hashtag Motor City, and yet no one here knows how to fucking drive.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's amazing. Or when Kevin Durant forgot to log out of his main account, your account, to defend himself.
The burner that he forgot his burners.
Those are always funny when people forget their burner accounts. They didn't switch, and you're like, dumbass.
Yeah, the best burner one was when that one reporter made up the Adam Gase burner account, so he could then report that Adam Gase had a burner account. Anyway, that's the only ones I can actually say here online.
Feel free to Google.
Yeah, go free to Google some of these, but these were a lot worse than I thought they were going to be. So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's our show this week. Next week, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's our show for this week.
I'll do it live.
Thank you so much for listening. If you agree with us or disagree with us, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, especially on if you think that our opinions on these murders and stuff. If you disagree with them, I want to hear it. I want to hear some counterpoints. I really do. Not that we really got too into opinionated stuff and too gloomy doomy. I would like to hear some other points of view. So please let us know. Go on our social media. Engage with us there on Facebook. We'd love to again hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Hit that bell. All that nonsense. But thank you again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Block. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.